The following is a list of 25 of the most notorious haunted locations in Salem, Massachusetts. Number 1. Bunghole Liquor Store. The Bunghole Liquor Store in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed during the early 1900s as a funeral home. During the American alcohol prohibition of the 1920s and 1930s, the location was also used by bootleggers to brew moonshine, and according to legend, townsfolk frequently met in the funeral home's basement, where bodies were kept for embalming, to drink, play cards, and engage in other illicit activities. The secret meeting spot in the basement was referred to by a secret phrase with the secret passcode known only to its members: the bunghole, which refers to the small hole drilled into the top of a wooden barrel where alcohol is fermenting. In 1933, after the prohibition on alcohol ended, the owners reopened the location as a liquor store called the Bunghole. Employees working at the store report witnessing apparitions as well as experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena such as cold spots and disembodied voices. Number 2. Burying Point Cemetery. Burying Point Cemetery in Salem, Massachusetts was first established in 1637 as the Salem Street Burying Ground. It is noted by historians as being one of the first public burial grounds established by European settlers in the city of Salem, as well as one of the oldest cemeteries in the United States. The location is believed to be haunted by the ghosts of several women who were executed during the Salem witch trials of 1692 for allegedly practicing witchcraft, as well as a number of other unidentified apparitions and shadow figures. The historic cemetery also serves as the final resting place for many of Salem's early pioneers and figureheads, including the late Judge John Hawthorne, who sentenced 19 Salem citizens to death for practicing witchcraft, and whose spectral figure is allegedly seen wandering the cemetery at night. Paranormal investigators also report encountering the ghost of a woman in a long, white dress, believed to be the late Mary Corey, who was sentenced to death for witchcraft, and the ghost of a woman in blue who is seen carrying a picnic basket. Many consider Burying Point Cemetery to be one of the most haunted cemeteries in New England. Number 3. Charter Street Cemetery Welcome Center. The Charter Street Cemetery Welcome Center in Salem, Massachusetts, was constructed in 1665 as a private residence by a man named Samuel Pickman. It was restored and opened for historic tours during the late 1970s before being bought by the adjacent Peabody Essex Museum and used as the welcome center for the Charter Street Cemetery, which is commonly referred to as Old Burying Point Cemetery. Employees and tourists visiting the old building report encountering the ghosts of a man, woman, and child who were involved in a murder-suicide during the 1700s. According to legend, after moving into the house, the man began experiencing episodes of psychosis and claimed that he could see and hear demons talking to him shortly before killing his wife and 7-year-old daughter, and then finally himself. In addition to witnessing apparitions, many also report hearing the sounds of disembodied voices and children's laughter. Number 4. Daniel's House Bed and Breakfast. The Daniel's House Bed and Breakfast in Salem, Massachusetts was built in 1667 as a private residence by a shipbuilder named Stephen Daniels. It was used for many years as an orphanage and nursery before being opened as a bed and breakfast. The location is said to be haunted by the ghost of a man wearing black, Puritan-style clothing, as well as the ghost of an unidentified woman in a long skirt or dress who is allegedly seen falling down the stairs. Guests staying in the butler room often report witnessing a mysterious, glowing light emanating from the closet at night, and others report encountering a spectral cat who prowls the inn's hallways and who quickly vanishes when spotted by the living. Number 5. Derby Street. Locals on Derby Street in Salem, Massachusetts often report witnessing the apparitions of former sailors and dock workers who once traveled the roadway from the nearby Derby Wharf. Although their ghostly figures are frequently encountered by motorists and pedestrians at night, their identities and the reason for their presence is unknown. Number 6. Gallows Hill Park. Gallows Hill Park in Salem, Massachusetts was believed for many years to be the hanging spot of the 19 men and women sentenced to death for witchcraft during the infamous Salem witch trials of 1692. Visitors report witnessing apparitions and shadow figures and experiencing other paranormal phenomena, such as sudden feelings of despair and the sounds of disembodied voices and screams at night. Local residents also report encountering these same apparitions in their homes, and many claim the woods surrounding Gallows Hill Park are haunted by a demonic entity. Although in 2016, the true execution site used for the Salem witch trials was discovered to be located at Proctor's Ledge, many continue to report experiencing paranormal activity at Gallows Hill Park. Number 7. House of the Seven Gables Museum. Sometimes referred to as the Turner Ingersoll Mansion, the House of the Seven Gables in Salem, Massachusetts, was constructed in 1667 and is renowned as being the oldest surviving wooden mansion in New England. Tourists visiting the location report witnessing spirits and other apparitions, including the spirit of a woman named Susan Ingersoll, who passed away in the house in 1858 at the age of 72. Her apparition is often seen by visitors as well as passers-by who report witnessing the silhouette of a woman in the windows late at night when the building is believed to be empty. The apparition of a young boy is also seen playing in the attic, where guests report feeling a strange presence, as if an unseen entity is lurking nearby. Others who enter the attic report feeling lightheaded or nauseous, or experiencing an intangible force compelling them to leave the area. Additionally, employees and visitors at the old mansion report hearing the sounds of disembodied voices, footsteps, whispers, and growls, as well as experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena, such as faucets and lights turning on and off by themselves. Number 8. Howard Street Cemetery. In April of 1692, an elderly man from Salem, Massachusetts, named Giles Corey, was arrested for the crime of allegedly practicing witchcraft. After refusing to enter a guilty or innocent plea with the court, he was brought to a field near Gallows Hill by a posse of men and brutally tortured to death. The elderly Giles Corey was tied down and stripped naked before being covered in heavy wooden boards. Then, for 3 days, large boulders were placed upon the boards until finally, on September 19, 1692, Giles Corey was pronounced dead. His last words to the men were, "More weight." After his death, Giles Corey was buried unceremoniously in an unmarked grave at Howard Street Cemetery, where his vengeful spirit is allegedly encountered by visitors. Number 9. Mercy Tavern. Previously used as a brothel, Mercy Tavern in Salem, Massachusetts, is rumored to be haunted by the ghosts of the former sailors and dock workers who once frequented the location. In addition to witnessing apparitions, employees working at Mercy Tavern at night report hearing the sounds of disembodied voices and shouting coming from the old smugglers' tunnels beneath the building, which sailors and pirates once used to transport stolen goods and even kidnap locals for slave labor. Number 10. Morning Glory Bed and Breakfast. The Morning Glory Bed and Breakfast in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1808 as a private residence. It is rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a mysterious woman wearing clothing from a bygone era, as well as a number of spectral children whose identities are unknown and whose reasons for haunting the old house remain unknown. Number 11. Murphy's Restaurant. Allegedly built over the site of an old burial ground, Murphy's Restaurant in Salem, Massachusetts is said to be haunted by a number of apparitions. Patrons and employees often report encountering the ghost of a woman in a blue dress, who is sometimes seen carrying a picnic basket and accompanied by a young boy in black. Another frequently reported spirit is that of a woman in white who haunts the restaurant for unknown reasons, and who is also seen walking in the nearby Burying Point Cemetery, located just behind the location. Many locals also tell stories of an old coffin falling through the wall of the restaurant bordering the old cemetery, or of a hearse crashing through the wall of the restaurant. However, these are believed to be nothing more than urban legends. Number 12. Old Salem Jail. The Old Salem Jail on St. Peter Street in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1813. It was the site of over 50 executions before finally being shut down in 1991 due to inhumane living conditions. In 2008, the historic jail was purchased and converted into luxury apartments, with the ground level also serving as an arcade bar called Bit Bar Salem and a restaurant called The Great Escape. Residents living in the old jailhouse apartments often report witnessing the ghosts of former prisoners who were executed at the location, as well as feeling unexplained cold spots or sudden drops in temperature. Others report hearing the sounds of disembodied voices and screams, in addition to feeling a strange presence, as if being followed or watched by an unseen entity. Although the old Salem jail is now furnished with modern luxury amenities, much of the original bricks and other features of the jail still remain, including iron-barred doors inside the building and a trap door in the floor which marks the site where former death row inmates were hanged. Number 13. Proctor's Ledge. Between February of 1692 and May of 1693, 19 men and women were found guilty of practicing witchcraft and sentenced to death by hanging at a location now known as Proctor's Ledge, which sits on a hill overlooking the town of Salem. In July of 2017, a memorial was built at the site of the hangings, which until 2016 was incorrectly believed to be located at the nearby Gallows Hill. Tourists visiting the memorial often report witnessing apparitions and experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena, such as sudden cold spots and drops in temperature, or feeling a strange presence. Number 14. Rockafellas Restaurant. Rockafellas Restaurant in Salem, Massachusetts was opened in 2003. However, the building which houses it is much older. Also known as the Daniel Low Building, it was originally constructed in 1826 as the fourth meeting house for a Puritan Unitarian church, which operated under the name of Salem's First Church until 1923. Over the years, it was rented out by various businesses, including a jewelry store, banquet hall, china shop, and several others. Many historians also suspect the old building may have been used as a stopping place on the Underground Railroad by African slaves fleeing the South during the American Civil War. The historic building is said to be haunted by the spirits of a number of unidentified men and women, including one woman commonly seen wearing a long blue dress known as the Blue Lady. According to one popular story passed on by locals, the woman was killed by a sailor after it was discovered she had become pregnant with the man's child, and her body was buried in one of the old tunnels beneath the restaurant. The story of the Blue Lady has become so well known over the years that employees even created a cocktail named after her, called the Blue Lady. Another apparition often seen by patrons and employees at Rockafellas Restaurant is that of a somber man wearing a dark suit who is believed to have been a former minister that committed suicide when the building was still used as a church. Pedestrians walking near Rockafellas restaurant late at night also report witnessing strange, glowing orbs moving around inside the empty building and hearing the sounds of disembodied voices and screams. Number 15. Ropes Mansion Museum. Ropes Mansion in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in the late 1720s by a man named Samuel Bernard, who passed away at the location in 1762. Samuel Bernard had 4 wives throughout his lifetime, 2 of which passed away in the house in 1743 and 1753. Their spirits are rumored to haunt the location, as well as the ghost of a man named Judge Nathaniel Ropes, who died of smallpox in March of 1774. In 1839, Nathaniel Ropes' daughter, Abigail, was burned alive after the hem of her dress caught fire while she was carrying hot coals to one of the mansion's heating stoves. Those visiting Ropes Mansion often report witnessing the ghost of Abigail Ropes, or hearing the sounds of her disembodied screams and cries of pain as she relives her agonizing death. Others report being touched by an unseen hand or feeling a strange presence, especially in the garden area. Number 16. Salem Smugglers Tunnels. The old Salem Smugglers Tunnels in Salem, Massachusetts are a vast network of underground tunnels and caverns which connect various shops and other locations throughout the city. They were constructed during the early 1800s by wealthy merchants and sailors for the purpose of smuggling goods, bootlegging alcohol, bypassing tax laws, and evading authorities. The old tunnels were also used as a place for prostitution and by pirates for kidnapping local men to use as forced labor aboard their ships. Many who disappeared into the tunnels were never seen again. Tourists visiting the Salem Smugglers Tunnels report witnessing mysterious orbs and apparitions, as well as experiencing other paranormal phenomena, such as disembodied voices and footsteps, objects being moved or thrown by an unseen entity, cold spots, and electronic devices malfunctioning unexpectedly. Number 17. Salem State University. Salem State University in Salem, Massachusetts was established in 1854 as the Salem Normal School. Residents at Bowditch Hall report witnessing apparitions in room 222, as well as hearing loud, disembodied banging sounds that aren't heard from anywhere else in the building. Some students report feeling a strange presence in the room, and others report being woken in the middle of the night by an unseen entity. One popular urban legend claims that a triple murder took place in room 222 during the 1970s. However, these claims are unable to be validated with historical evidence. Another folklore story claims that the Sophia Gordon Center for Creative and Performing Arts is haunted by a student who died after falling from one of the catwalks above stage. However, this claim is also largely dismissed as being nothing more than an urban legend. Number 18. St. Mary's Catholic Cemetery. Established in 1849, St. Mary's Cemetery in Salem, Massachusetts is home to over 30,000 burial plots. Those visiting the location at night often report witnessing mysterious glowing orbs, as well as encountering an unidentified gray, foggy apparition. Others report feeling a strange presence, as if being watched by an unseen entity, as well as hearing the sounds of disembodied voices calling out from the nearby woods. Number 19. The Hawthorne Hotel. The 93-room Hawthorne Hotel in Salem, Massachusetts opened in July of 1925 and is said to be one of the most haunted hotels in the United States. Guests at the location report witnessing apparitions as well as hearing disembodied voices and footsteps, or witnessing furniture and other objects being rearranged by an unseen entity. Others report witnessing flickering lights, experiencing unexplained temperature fluctuations, and feeling a strange presence, as if being watched by an unseen entity. Guests staying in room 325 often report hearing the disembodied sounds of a baby crying, in addition to experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena, such as lights and faucets turning on and off by themselves. Guests staying on the historic hotel's 6th floor report awaking in the middle of the night to the apparition of a woman pacing back and forth, especially in room 612. During the 1970s, the Hawthorne Hotel was used to film an episode of the popular television show Bewitched, and in 2007, the location was featured on an episode of Ghost Hunters, where members of the Atlantic Paranormal Society were able to gather alleged paranormal evidence and confirm rumors of supernatural activity. Number 20. The John Ward House. The John Ward House in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1684 and added to the National Register of Historic Places in November of 1968. In 1911, the house was opened for public tours and is now owned and operated by the Peabody Essex Museum. Guests and employees at the allegedly haunted location report witnessing the apparition of a man who appears to be wearing clothing from the 1600s, and others report feeling unexplained cold spots and temperature fluctuations. Number 21. The Merchant Hotel. The Joshua Ward House in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1784 over the site of the former home of High Sheriff George Corwin, who played a vital role in the Salem witch trials of 1692. It's said that Sheriff Corwin often took suspects to the basement of his house to engage in various acts of interrogation and torture, with many even claiming that he derived pleasure from these acts of violence. As the High Sheriff of Salem, George Corwin was also in charge of confiscating the property and belongings of those who were accused of witchcraft. 4 years after the Salem witch trials in 1696, Sheriff Corwin died of a heart attack at the age of 34, which many claim was due to a curse that was placed on him by those he sentenced to death. According to legend, his body was stored for years in the basement of the home before finally being buried at Broad Street Cemetery due to fear that his grave would be vandalized. Ever since Sheriff Corwin's death, residents of the Joshua Ward House have reported witnessing his apparition, as well as 2 other angry spirits believed to be a man and woman who were executed for the crime of witchcraft in 1692. In 2015, the Joshua Ward House was remodeled and now serves as the Merchant Hotel, where guests and employees allegedly continue experiencing a variety of paranormal activity, such as sudden temperature fluctuations, disembodied voices, and flickering lights. Others report witnessing doors opening and closing by themselves, and objects such as books and luggage being picked up and thrown across the room by an unseen entity. The Joshua Ward House was added to the National Register of Historic Places in October of 1978 and is commonly referred to simply as the Witch House. Number 22. The Old Salem Town Hall Museum. The Old Salem Town Hall in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1816. It remained in use until the new Salem City Hall was built in 1838, at which point it was used by various local businesses until 2008, when it was opened as a museum. Employees and guests visiting the Old Salem Town Hall Museum report experiencing a variety of unexplained paranormal activity, such as disembodied voices and objects being moved or thrown across the room by an unseen entity. Many believe the museum to be haunted by a poltergeist or some other type of malicious spirit. Passers-by also report witnessing shadowy figures through the darkened windows late at night when the museum is closed, and hearing loud, unexplained noises coming from within the empty building. Number 23. The Salem Inn. The Salem Inn in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1834 as the Nathaniel West House. It is believed to be haunted by several ghostly apparitions, including that of a black cat who is allegedly seen by employees and guests. Guests also report encountering the ghost of a mysterious woman nicknamed Catherine, as well as the ghost of a young child who is seen and heard playing in various locations throughout the old building late at night. Room 17 is also said to be haunted by the ghost of a woman who was murdered, nicknamed Elizabeth, who allegedly harasses male guests. Additionally, guests and employees at the Salem Inn often report experiencing mysterious paranormal phenomena, such as disembodied voices, doors opening and closing by themselves, and objects being moved, stolen, or rearranged by an unseen entity. Number 24. Turner's Seafood at Lyceum Hall. Turner's Seafood in Salem, Massachusetts was constructed in 1831 as the Lyceum Amphitheater and served as a location for lectures and readings by some of America's most influential minds, including Daniel Webster, Henry David Thoreau, and Ralph Waldo Emerson. It is also famous as being the location from which Alexander Graham Bell placed the first long-distance telephone call on February 12, 1877. The building is also constructed over the former orchard and home of Bridget Bishop, the first woman executed for the crime of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials of 1692. Her spirit is allegedly seen by employees and guests at Turner's Seafood, wearing a long, white gown, and a menacing presence is often felt. Employees also report experiencing other paranormal phenomena, such as objects being knocked from tables or thrown across the room violently, or the unexplained scent of fresh apples. Number 25. Wicked Good Books. Wicked Good Books in Salem, Massachusetts was opened in 2013 though the building it occupies is much older. During a renovation, an entrance was found to the old Salem Smugglers tunnels, as well as the skeletal remains of 2 unidentified human adults. Ever since, shoppers and employees at the store have reported encountering mysterious apparitions and experiencing a variety of additional paranormal activity, such as books being knocked off shelves and objects being thrown across the room by an unseen entity. That concludes my list of 25 notorious haunted locations in Salem, Massachusetts. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more creepy videos and other content. To see my full list of folklore tales and haunted locations in your state, check out my website, ghostquest.net, and be sure to check out the link to my new book, The Folklore and Haunted Locations Guide, Massachusetts, available now on Amazon. To see more of my creepy videos, subscribe to my channel and click the thumbnails shown on the screen.